jazz hands.
Oh, tempo change. That high C. Hitting that high C on the trumpet, everybody. Yeah, good job.
Beautiful.
Okay, yeah, that
My-
was
Beautiful.
Might be my favorite. Might be my new
yeah,
favorite.
it's real good.
That was Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
yeah, it kind of was.
Yeah, mixed with us.
That was called Valleycast Jazz Theme by
Ooh.
Veloz Machine. And the description of it says, a skeet scat bap da bappa de boo.
Becca
this.
DeGoo.
That's where Becca de goo.
I feel like whoever was on
Scat
the
bop
stand-up
boo.
bass was a little aggressive. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
hitting those strings pretty hard.
Yeah.
Bit of a ham.
Well, sometimes you gotta hit them
Yeah.
hard.
He was slapping the bass.
Sometimes you gotta hit them hard.
Honestly, I have never met a stand-up bassist that wasn't just a complete egomaniac.
If there's one thing I know, the
There's
moment
one
you
thing
say
I
it,
know. It is absolutely that.
Did you see that my
can tell 'em.
instrument was the biggest? Did you see that?
Bing, bing.
Did you see how
Welcome.
big it was? It took my whole body to rock it. It wouldn't even stand without me.
it's such a thing to commit to learn to
It
do
is.
that.
It's a
so-
huge instrument.
Because then you have
so
to
big.
carry that stand-up bass.
Yeah.
I have seen at a wedding once a stand-up bassist do a twirl and the bass fell.
Really?
Yeah, I
Ooh,
do remember seeing
a
that because
gift.
I
Hey,
remember
Lee.
thinking to myself, I
Hey,
gotta
Lee.
put that somewhere.
Did
yeah.
you see when I dropped my stand-up bass
Yeah,
on stage?
I did, Randy.
That was on purpose.
He
Okay,
owns
cool.
it.
Wow.
He owns it. He drops
Wow.
the bass.
Did you hear the sound it made?
yeah, yeah.
It was
It
the
was like
loudest
boom,
thing that
boom,
happened
boom.
the whole time.
Yeah, it does.
Welcome
Randy.
to the
Can I just get
Valleycast,
the shrimp?
everyone. Welcome to the Valleycast. This is a podcast curated, created, recorded,
Good word.
Posted
morning.
and
edited,
delivered. Yeah,
produced,
posted, edited, produced, delivered,
Sold.
birthed.
yeah.
Listened to constantly by.
The Valley folk, which are Lee Newton, Joe Beretta, Elliott Morgan, and Steve Zaragoza. That's myself. And basically, if you've never listened to this podcast, weird one to start on. What is this, episode 20 or something?
We're gonna have a
85.
time on this one for sure.
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
Gonna be, this isn't. This
It's
is
going to be a roller
special one.
coaster ride.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Buckle up, strap
You
in.
don't like roller coasters.
There's very few that I do like, yeah.
Ooh,
I don't
okay.
like any Magic Mountain roller coasters, though.
Gotcha.
Because that's too much of a thrill for me.
We have similarities.
I get a
like,
thrill in reading a good novel.
Novel?
A good novel.
That's all the up and down I need.
get a thrill in reading a good novel. The only thrill I need is in a Robinson Crusoe book.
I also appreciate Rudyard Kipling.
Absolutely. And when I'm feeling a little naughty, Michael Crichton.
Michael Crichton.
Because he writes F's and S's into his books.
Novel.
Yeah, so the way it
Double.
works is we all bring a different subject or a story or an anecdote, and we talk about it together, and
true.
we then we wrap up the episode. That's kind of it.
Yeah,
Wow,
there's like a
nailed it,
beginning,
buddy.
there's
Yeah.
a middle, and then there's typically an end.
Typically.
Yeah,
We try.
yeah.
Should we
tried it.
We
We
go
tried it.
for it.
should we dive in?
Let's dive in.
Let's dive
I
in.
have a story that I mentioned briefly
Ooh, story.
that I would like to share.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Here we go.
Oh,
Um,
boy, oh, wow.
Story time,
It's
everybody.
story time.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna blow through. I've told this story. You guys have heard this story.
Yes, we
So
have.
many times.
So I'm just for the
Only
audience.
once for me,
the
actually.
audience, I'm just gonna blow through. Gonna give some bullet points.
well, no, you got to tell it like it's
Oh,
the
yeah.
first time.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to bore you guys.
Oh,
I
no,
don't want
we're
you
No,
to-
excited.
we're fine.
It's
Oh
a
yeah, this
we
is a big
revel
deal.
in this story.
Yeah, this should be told the way you tell, like you told us for the first
for
time.
the 7th and 8th.
I know.
Well, 12
I'm so
is more
sorry
like
that you've
it.
heard it so much.
Again,
but
I've only heard it once. I'm doing
okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were out of town. In that
Yeah.
time, I've told it about 17 times.
Oh, cool.
Some
Yeah.
on stage, some
And we've been around
mostly
for every single
Ooh,
one.
baby.
like from like literally just like the beats. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
To be
Inception.
fair, like a parent, if a new person comes into the room, I think I have 7 times when Elliott you have
Yep.
to tell him the story because I get a lot of joy from how much joy he gets from telling it. Like a parent, I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
go get him.
Oh,
son.
Dude,
yeah,
and it feels
yeah,
that
yeah.
way when you're like yesterday, Matt, Rob, and Sarah
Yeah.
came in. You're like, Elliot, you haven't heard the story, and it feels like you're giving me a gift because I remember all
Yeah.
over it.
He
Right,
gets
right.
so giddy.
Yeah, it's a great story.
No, okay,
It's
well,
very, very
You're
good.
building it up a lot.
yeah, we're building it up a lot. So here's,
Oh, it needs the bill.
I do think it delivers. Anyway,
It does deliver.
so sometimes
7 minutes.
this is a 20-minute story. I date women sometimes, just so if listeners know, and
Oh.
sometimes
Confirmation.
I meet up with
Brag
people
alert.
who I reach out to over the internet, and because it's 2018 and I have a good time, and I'll go and we'll have a drink or we'll have coffee or something, and that'll be that, and I do it as a way of meeting people, and it's really enjoyable and whatever. So I reached out to this girl on the internet, and we started talking. This was like a week and a half ago, and she replied, and we started chatting. And right out of the gate, she said that she was a Trump supporter. She voted for Donald Trump, who is our current president. And
Sure.
So like age, sex, political affiliation.
yeah,
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
quickly.
Classic.
And the kind of
22,
like nihilist and sort of
female.
like
Trump.
I was like, I'm gonna experience, and so immediately I was like, oh, we gotta like meet up immediately. And she was like,
Why
okay.
was that? Why did you feel like you had to meet up with her?
There's a lot to unpack there, probably.
Sure.
Yeah, let's unpack it.
I think probably
You
it
got
has-
time, man. It's the top of the podcast.
It maybe, I think maybe part of it, me was like, I'm gonna save her in some way and live and be like, because my parents, I grew up very conservative. I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys have, but that sometimes
I
is
get
a
it.
process, and it's a very sincere thing. There's also a nihilistic sort of like, this is gonna be a story, and it's gonna
Sure,
be fun.
yeah.
And I also want to hear. I want to hear different people's perspectives because I live in a bubble in Los Angeles, and everybody's like, everyone is just
Sure,
like
maybe
this," and
she
it's-
was gonna save you.
Right, exactly. So let's see what happened.
Wow.
And in a way she did. And so we
Yeah.
meet. And right before I went in, I texted Mike, and I was like, Mike Falzone, at Mike Falzone,
Heard of
Mike
him?
in the morning, youtube.com/Mike Falzone. And I was like, hey, I'm about to go have drinks with this
Dynamic banter.
dynamic banter, hashtag dynamic banter, and
Hair.
hashtag the fundamentalists. And
Barats and Beretta.
Barats. And so anyway,
Source fed.
the
I
Philip
was in a
DeFranco show.
Stage production of Pippin.
I did a Nickelodeon commercial when I was 13.
A funny vine I did.
I made a good sandwich last night at 9:30 p.m.
Oh, wow. That I'm interested in.
So I text Mike and I'm like,
I'm in.
I was like, I'm gonna go have drinks with this hashtag MAGA girl, and he's like, he just says ha 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 ha, like 16 ha's. He's like, I hope you come out of this with a story. And I was like, the best story is gonna be if I end up actually liking this person. And so I go in, she shows up, and we start having drinks. This is in West Hollywood. We're having a great time. 4 hours go by. We start talking about politics, our families, our jobs, what we're doing, what our perspectives are on things. We hit it off. It goes great. She says some politically incorrect things, and then
I wish you could say.
I think.
I'm gonna
I
say.
think you can allude to them. At
Oh, don't
least.
worry.
Oh, you're gonna go into detail on what she said?
We're gonna have a
Oh, I
good time.
can't wait.
Yeah.
Great.
Because I was like, okay, never mind.
Yeah. You gotta let me. I know what.
Simmer.
I got
I'm
it.
here.
I
I'm
got
just
it.
listening.
It's on the
Just
stove.
listen.
You don't worry. It's gonna be good. Okay.
It's
so
simple.
so she says this thing, and then immediately I'm like, nope. And then that starts a whole conversation about like being politically incorrect, and I was like, that's fine. I was like, I also just like worry about people's hearts and where they're coming from, and like that's where that comes from. Like the political correct thing is one thing, and people can get whatever, and I go off on my little soapbox about it. But then the night ends and we hug or whatever, and it's very like nice. But I was like, we'll see what happens. And so I leave, and she starts texting me, and she's very much like, hey, I like you. Let's meet up again. Let's
Sure.
hang out again. And I was like, okay, cool. And so Memorial Day rolls around. And
Heard of it.
it's it's a great day. I go to this Memorial Day party, I have a great time, and then I'm leaving, and I'm like, well, let's go have drinks again. So we go, and she's like, okay. And so we meet up, and we go to another bar, and we start talking again. And this time it's a little bit more quiet, so I could actually kind of like understand what she was saying more. And I just lost my. Maybe we can. Okay, there we go. It's like, I feel like I'm about to tip over to the. Anyway, so there it is. Oh, so close. Sorry, guys. It's
that
just
better?
very difficult to hear.
I don't think anyone understands what's happening right now.
Half
Ooh,
my
I'm so
headset
close.
went out.
I'm so close. That's almost there.
We got to figure that. Yeah.
Like Joe jerking you off under the table.
Yeah. One more time. So So we meet up again and we start talking, and then I start telling you guys about it, and you start giving me all this shit about dating a Republican,
girl,
and you assume right out of the gate that she's
not dating a
racist.
Republican.
Dating a
You
Trump
said
Dating a Trump supporter.
Dating a Trump supporter. You're right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Not
I
abashed
gotta know a
Trump
lot of
supporter
Republicans.
Yeah,
That's
Republicans
not
are good
Trump
people.
supporter.
Sure, yes. Many of them are. Like John McCain and all that. There's some good ones. So
she
anyway,
also said some things.
yeah, you also said though you assumed that she was racist wherein she only said one overtly racist thing.
Yeah, it was a pretty
Wow.
big one
On the
though.
first
Yeah.
pretty big one.
And this is the worst part. She said that she referred to an African American man as not the N-word, but definitely a meme that went around. A large man. And
Yeah,
anyway,
I burn her at the stake.
I know
Yeah.
Well, it give her a chance,
I
Lee.
love how my
My thing is the fact that you still were like, I'm gonna have sex with this person after that.
I wasn't. Deep down, I knew I was, but I was definitely going to see her again. So anyway, Monday rolls around. Don't
We're all
Don't
eyeing
I
you.
chat about me like I'm not in
I'm
the
eye
room.
chatting you and jerking you off under the table.
Yeah. In some ways, that's very true. So anyway,
I'm just disappointed.
bullshit. I have a fun time. So anyway,
I was disappointed, truly.
yeah.
Steve was hurt.
Yes, and then very rightfully so. But I was definitely like something is with this person. I was like, I'm gonna figure it out. And so I start telling you guys about it, and then I go home. This is like Thursday night, and I'm starting to tell my roommate about it, Dr. Peter Rollins from the Fundamentalists, and
Barats and Beretta.
a sandwich I made last night, and his girlfriend is like, "Can I see what this girl looks like?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Sure,
So
we're all curious.
I pull up a photo of her in like a MAGA shirt and like a Make America Great Again shirt, and I show his girlfriend, and she's like, "Okay, whatever." And then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go and just like get a drink and chill out for a little bit. It's been a long day. And so I'm down at the bar and I'm texting with the girl and I'm texting with you guys and having a great time and relaxing. And it's a very pleasant experience. And then I get a call from my roommate, which is a very weird thing to get if you have a roommate. They're not supposed to call you.
Yeah, they
especially
text you.
Yeah,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
live like 2 seconds away.
Yeah.
And it's just dead silent. And then I hear him go, Elliott. And I'm like, hey. And he's like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm at the bar. And he goes, okay. And his voice is kind of like wobbly or warbly. And
Yeah.
he's like, I don't know how to tell you this, and it might not be true, but my girlfriend just found this girl in her last name, and he Googled her.
She Googled him.
I'm sorry, yeah, she Googled her, and there's all this stuff online about her being a massive catfish and con artist. And if you Google her name, there are articles about her as well as over a dozen mugshots. And it says that she's been convicted of over 20 crimes. And I said, what? and then we immediately started laughing about it. And I freaked out in the bar by myself and was like, hold on. Wait, what? And so
Hold
then,
on, what's Google?
Hold on. Back from the beginning. You found she has a last name.
You have a girlfriend?
Yeah. Who are you? I made a sandwich last night. So I go.
Brats and Beretta.
There it is. I go back to the apartment and we're just having a field day, but they've pulled up like court documents,
Yeah.
and they're showing me all of her mugshots, which
This
are
is
just
real. She's a
from
convicted
year,
felon.
year after
20 times.
And she here's where it gets real crazy. And by the way, don't show any stuff if you were thinking that we're not going to show any stuff. But anyway, because she's a criminal and I feel bad for her. But anyway, she based I know well she's not okay and anyway. I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the bungle music. When you bungle it.
Steve's not even playing it. We're all just thinking about it.
It's all playing in our heads while you tell this
Yeah,
story.
man. It's subconscious.
You're not gonna get.
I don't like it.
Okay,
I don't like
so you bungled it. You went up.
This
to
is
your-
why I didn't tell the story first with you fuckers.
Okay, just listen. Just listen. You went up and you.
So listen, yeah. Anyway,
man.
this is the fun part.
I
Okay,
just want to say, mazel to the woman that Googled her name.
I know she saved my life.
So,
Jesus
real quick, I feel like
Christ.
you left out a very important description because you're telling it on a podcast for the first time. It wasn't just that she was a cute Republican MAGA supporter, she also, part of her thing was that she was a super successful.
Super successful. Yeah. Super
she
rich,
was
super successful.
super successful.
And
business
had all these
woman.
business ideas, and backed everything up. She had an
Yeah.
excuse for everything. She answered questions before I asked them. Like, she would kind of lay this foundation of like
jet-setting lifestyle.
Very like. Also, she looked the part. She talked the part. She backed it up with like photos.
she had like a
but was
heavy
very,
Instagram. Like she has like
Yeah.
a constant Instagram.
Yeah, she had it, and all very like she would send photo. Like it was very.
It looked like a posh lifestyle.
very posh, but also incredibly believable. And so anyway, the thing is, back in like 2017, back in the day when I wasn't getting a ton of work, I did a television pilot for TLC about catfishing, and I told this woman about it on the first date, like halfway into it.
What was her reaction?
Well, Lee,
in
thank
hindsight?
you for asking. I noticed in the moment, which was she ignored it, and when she ignored it, I go, "Did you hear what I just said?" And then she was like, "Yeah, I just moved past it," and I was like, "Okay," and that was weird. And then on the
She
next
just didn't
day,
want to talk about it at all.
right? And then, but imagine you're conning somebody, and somebody says that to you, and you go to meet with them the next day again, and
She's like, this
She's a
guy's not
con
smart
artist.
enough to
Yeah.
connect the
exactly, yes.
pieces.
And and then on the next day, I looked at her and I go, "You're hiding something." I was like, "There's," and she goes, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "There's nobody who says that they own everything as much as you do who isn't hiding something."
Yeah.
And
But you said that in a flirty way, because when you say
Yes,
it like that, it
yeah.
sounds aggressive.
You
And
were
I
like,
bet you were like,
"You're hiding something. I'm
I'm
gonna find
out
out
what it is.
But at this point, you thought you were
Hopefully I'm
alluding.
not gonna
Crazy.
get
You
my
guys were there,
entire
you saw it,
world
yeah.
crying.
But you were alluding to a genital thing.
yes, I was like, something is going
Yeah,
on.
something down there is different.
You're
yeah.
hiding something.
And
It's my penis.
also, apparently, according
If you
to
play your cards right.
Jesus.
according to what was also Googled, she's potentially still on the run and currently
Lamb?
on parole, and like out of state.
So let's take this. No, hold on. Let's take
There's
this.
nothing you can do that does nothing but detract from the pure absurdity already.
Let's take this.
I
You're just
know,
like you're like dumping sugar on a cake.
I guess you're right. Yeah,
I love sugar,
but it
cake.
does make it
Joke's on
sweeter,
you.
doesn't it?
It is. Yeah, it does.
Wait. Okay. So then I just want to say, in the future, maybe we Google last name.
I don't
No,
know, man.
no.
I'm not
You
into
said
that.
this
I hate
is such
this.
a-
No.
I hate this so much.
You guys are.
I
full
hate it so
morons.
much.
No,
No,
that's
no.
also
It's so
full
paranoid.
moron.
Here's
It's
why that's
super
wrong.
It's not
paranoid.
paranoia because look, what I'm trying to say is if you
Jesus
found something
Christ.
out, and this is actually I'm going to do a call to motherfucking action, okay? Because if you found something out about someone before dating them, I promise you wouldn't go on a date with them, and that is the relevancy there. Like if you literally went on there and you were like, okay, child pedophile.
Yeah, but like you're not supposed to. But you don't like. We don't have the privilege of knowing that until you experience something.
I don't
Like
give
it's
a
the same
shit.
thing with
It's
everything. It's like you don't
2017.
go into a
That is
job
such a-
and
No,
like,
the-
not to be this person, but that is what a beautiful white male privilege that is. Not
Uh-oh.
white male, but what a male privilege that is.
I
It is
think-
a truly beautiful male privilege. I Google everyone's last name because I'm a fucking woman and I want to be caught in a room with them. Sorry, I did say white
Jesus
man. You're right here.
Christ.
I'm so sorry.
Now you're pouring sugar into the crock of shit, Lee's stewing.
No, I'm not. It is such a male privilege because it truly,
You're right.
like,
it is.
It
It's
truly
different.
is.
But
I think
what
what we
you're
came-
saying though is
But
that
you're
I
saying, like,
should. So
that you should because
No.
wouldn't you? You don't want to know something about someone like either they're
No.
a convict and going to take you for all your
it's
work.
like
Absolutely
it's like
not.
this is
This is
tinfoil hat
insane.
shit. I really
And
think it's
also-
really one of
I
those
don't
things
think
where it's like
a paranoid
it's like
thing
look.
to truly be like, is this person
No.
a psychopath
Well,
or
it's
not?
like I
gonna ruin my
like,
life or
Absolutely
not?
But like
You're
look-
lucky that you didn't get fucked
I am.
over.
I'm also like
This just creates a like a it just
I want to know what the listeners think. Truly, I want to know.
It-
Like,
but I
before-
just I
do
think
you
it just
Google
it
someone
feeds,
before you go out with it.
It feeds that paranoia culture. It just really
There's
does.
paranoid
It's like,
culture about everything else. This is someone that you want to potentially spend time with and
But it's
devote your
like,
life to and trust.
I'm
you
one,
can't trust someone out of the gate.
I'm always one to say that, like, you know, if you have nothing to hide, then why are you worried about like Siri, like listening to what you want to buy next weekend or something? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, there's a degree of like, obviously, the whole like, intrusion, like invasion of privacy thing that I think kind of leads into the whole thing.
Just a last name.
But
You
I
just make sure they're not on any
Here's
crazy
the
list.
implication.
and you
I
move
don't
on.
understand why this
Here's
is
what
so
I
black
find-
and white at this
Yeah.
I think
time.
it's weird.
Here's what I find very offensive about it. Here's where the black part comes in for me. Well, for her, it was the racist part. But the implication is that
Joe's not happy.
this is preventable. Or that, like, as a victim of being conned, I'm to blame in some way, and I do take
No,
offense
I
to
don't.
that.
No,
Exactly. There
there's
is
no.
that.
It is that's what you're doing. It's a victim
Yeah, you're
shaming.
right.
No,
Like,
but
next
I'm
time,
truly
look
just
ahead,
saying-
and this won't
No,
happen.
this
to
is
you.
a
Right.
lesson,
The
though.
lesson,
It's
no,
not
it's
like
not.
it's
This
not
is
a
an
lesson.
insane thing, and it will affect me in different ways.
I
In
don't know,
regard,
man.
here's the thing: events affect people in different ways. This will affect my trust. It will affect like how I move forward naturally. So I'm not going to then retroactively go like, "How is this my fault? How could I have prevented
No,
it?"
no, no,
It's
no,
an
no.
insane
It's not like
thing.
a your fault thing, but it is one of those things of like looking forward. It's truly one of those things of like maybe in the future because you can get caught in this. And again, you're lucky that someone came along and like Googled that person and like thank God that then you have to go on a different level of like what brought that up, what brought that to your life, like how fortunate do you feel
No.
in that sense? You don't feel fortunate in any way. You think
Of
that would
course.
just
Of
happen no
course.
matter
I just-
what.
I
Of course, no,
feel like there's
that's different. That's not what we're saying.
I feel like there's advice to be given to someone after something happens, and then there's advice to be given to someone before anything even close to that happens. And I think that like Elliott has learned on his own that now he needs to be a bit more careful. I mean, I don't know. Everyone needs to be careful
I mean,
when
yeah,
they're
but I also was careful, and nothing bad did happen. But you're right that it is a privilege of being male. Like, I would never say, if I was a girl, I would Google every single person
yeah,
to
exactly,
the ends of
exactly.
the earth.
And I think that's the point we all kind of came to when we all talked about this the other day. I think it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, men definitely have an easier world to live in with dating and things like that.
It's just it truly is one of those things that it I don't know. I guess my own paranoia comes from is that like I think you and look, I get it, but I think there's a thing that it's like if you know something about someone immediately, you wouldn't give them the second chance. You wouldn't give them that. And I understand that like here's like paranoia and diving into it, but like I'm immediately going into relationships and things like this out of like a need and want for love and companionship. And so I want to know pretty immediately.
Well, some people just
whether
want to
or
get their
not-
rocks off.
Sure. Sure.
That's fine. All that's fine. There's good like practices to put in place, and I think it's a personal choice across the board. Like if you want to Google people, go for it. In my mind, if somebody were to Google me, I would be like that in and of itself.
I'd be like,
would be
you're
a deal breaker for
It's
me.
a red
they
flag.
are.
They
all
are
Googling you.
all of them are googling
Well,
you.
that's
yeah,
fine.
but that's
Not-
a
joke's
it's a
on
red
you.
If I
flag.
heard about it, then
To
Why
me,
is that
that's
all
a red
women?
flag.
Why is that a red
Why?
flag?
Because
Well, that's
it's
fair.
like,
That's
because
fair.
it's
You're
like,
right, Lee.
don't
You're
you
right.
want
You're
to
right.
learn who I am? Like, what if I'm not a Googleable person? Like, what if I'm not like
They're
I'm
still
just
gonna
like a
try. I
Jane
don't
Doe?
think it's weird.
I don't think it's weird.
I think it's weird.
I think
think
it's
it's
weird. I think it also gives you a skewed perspective of what somebody is. If somebody Googled me,
And so does a Tinder
Everything.
profile.
So
It's like,
does
what was the-
Instagram.
Yeah,
Instagram
the-
is bullshit.
right.
All of it's bullshit.
that's fine. But I'm not going to like Google some. It does feel paranoid, and it also feels like I just don't care that much. Like I'm not gonna. I don't care.
Even
Like,
after
if I went on
like,
a date with
something
someone-
bad happened to you in that sense.
Well,
or
yeah,
could have really bad happened to
Obviously,
you.
lessons
those-
learned. Yes.
Those events, this type of event, is such a crazy. Like it's so insane. Here's the thing. I recognize her mugshots. They were used in promotional materials for the show I
Jesus
did.
Christ! So
Cue
not
up that
that
bungle
much.
So yeah. So
Yeah,
when
where's that bungle music?
All right, I came around on the bungle.
Yeah.
music. But listen, this is the type of event that it's so isolated and insane that to then look at it and go, well, this just goes to show X, Y, and Z, I think is wrong.
I'm
Now,
not
X,
saying
Y, and
that-
Z may still be right. Googling, if you're female, Google me, fucking go for it. But I'm not going to retroactively start putting Band-Aids on it when it's so insane that, like, whatever comes out of the wash on this,
Can I
because it
add-
was a sense of betrayal. It was a sense of
Totally.
violation.
100%.
And it was kind of hurtful. And it
Yeah.
also was just like, oh, my God.
Did it scare you at all?
It taught me a lot about myself. It was definitely like, oh, I get it. I can very easily get involved with people just because they like me, and that becomes its own thing. And it's like, which is something I always knew, but then in this situation, it was like tenfold.
Yeah.
And so like, there are lessons that I will learn as a result that are not necessary to be like articulated or like logistically implemented. Like, I'm never gonna Google now. That said, I absolutely would Google if it got to a point where it was serious and I was actually wanting to start a relationship with this person, which it never did. But I don't like when stuff like this happens and it becomes this thing of like, well, just goes to show, Elliot,
It's
you're
not a
living your
just
life
goes to
poorly.
show.
And
It's
like
not like
that.
a-
I take
it's-
offense to.
No, and I don't think, and that wasn't my intention at all. My intention was I live that life. I live that. I mean, that's just the woman journey of
Yes.
you live the paranoid life where literally like I remember going on an internet date with someone and Googling him immediately to find out he was a child predator.
Yeah.
To like find out immediately, and then you're like, goodbye. And I confronted him. I was like, what is this?
People change.
That's why. See, I feel like I'm
Google
middle.
Steve Zergo.
I'm like right in the middle of this table. I don't find it what
No, you're
Lee
right.
is
You're
saying.
actually I guess
it's just one of those
but
things
I
where
do
it's like-
find your guys is recoiling to it a little weird.
My- 'Cause I
think it's like- it kind of-
we live in the digital age.
Yeah.
It's just what happens. So I think it's a to each their own scenario. If you guys don't
I
want
would-
to,
I would
I don't
agree.
find that weird. But her,
It's definitely a to each their own.
And I
agree
never
with.
would mean it as like this just goes to show. I just mean like I truly think it's one of those things of you are one of those people that you're handsome.
That's so sweet of
You're
you, thank you.
likable. You're very welcome.
wait. Talk about me.
Man, it
No,
really does
you-
go.
now you have to
I
do
love
all
it.
of
I
us.
love it
Lee.
so much.
No, I don't. I'm talking to Elliott. Grow up. And I would say handsome and likable for all of you. Except for
I
Steve,
would
and
too.
I'd say
There it
lovable.
Oh, you got lovable. You win. Damn.
Yeah,
Thank
Steve
you,
is
baby.
very
He
lovable.
just is. He's so affable.
Do you want a little finger?
He's jerking me up
A
under the
little finger
table.
on the
No,
table?
no.
So,
yeah,
no,
go
I'm
ahead,
just
go
saying, I'm not trying to even be like, you're living your life poorly. That is not my intention at all. My intention is, I think, and this could be misconstrued, so I'll note that I know that. I think that when people tend to be as likable and as desirable as people like you, or as people like you seem to be, you have to watch out for people that have intentions. And
Yeah.
with
Ill
that comes
intentions.
ill intentions. And with that comes some preventative things. And I'm not saying this for everyone. I'm just saying this in the sense of like, you're a bigger target for lack of a better fucking explanation.
You're not wrong.
You
You're not
know,
wrong. And
it's
my-
a very unfortunate thing, but I've seen it happen. We have a lot of friends that you've seen it happen to. Like I have friends that have children out of really horrible circumstances like this, and they were just like, if only I knew blank and blank, blank and blank, and it's a very unfortunate thing, but that's my main thing.
I think,
I have one more thing to say, but please.
Well, in defense of my like super strong take on this
Conviction,
whole
yeah.
thing, my hot take on this thing.
Hot.
My whole thing is like, you can do like have fun and meet people and go on dates and do this and just be safe. But it's like there's a way to kind of like get to know someone in kind of like this way or that way, which is either you meet them and you get to know them, you don't judge a book by its cover, that whole thing, you kind of like get to know them in a certain way.
yeah, it's like robbing somebody of the first impression.
a little bit, yeah. And that, again, these are all just kind of like
But-
different avenues, but all I'm saying is like the whole Google thing is like, sure, Google whoever the fuck you want. Like, this is a free country, free world, and the Google's in your fucking pocket all day. So, and it's easy to access and just do it.
Sons of bitches.
So it's like, definitely go ahead and do that if you want to, but also know that like not everything is gonna be on Google. And
No, truly,
but
but
I'm proof of
clearly
that.
a
I murdered an
headshot
entire
was-
family in Texas, and I got away with it. So
That's
you know,
good.
and so yeah, you won't find that on Google.
music.
And the last thing I'll say is, and Lee, please know that there's also just a sensitivity that I have with this
No,
stuff. Where
I
it's
totally
like,
get it.
I very much like.
It's also like it could have been very scary. So I understand
Yeah.
the impetus is not the
Yeah,
right word, but
that
like
is what
it
it
is.
Yeah, it's
you
like
know, like
it
it's, I
comes from a place of
understand that.
like, and I very much like have a thing where like I do want to like settle down and like I've done the whole thing and like, but I've also had like exceptionally a storied relationship past, and this is just one more thing where it's just like,
Truly.
you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
And so like there's like that where it's just like, come on, one more thing, and
Well,
and
so
it's
I hope
exhausting.
that you
at
won't
times.
think that it's like I hope that you won't think that it's like me being like, "Come on, buddy, figure it out." And it's more along the lines, truly, of
She
you
cares
know,
about
like
you.
I care
Yeah,
about
it's
you.
a protective thing, and
it's a
I
protective
appreciate that.
thing through and through. And also, just like again, maybe it comes from me from 12 and on being hyper protective of myself because I live in a very aggressive world towards my gender and aggressive in the not the you know what I mean. But like that, so maybe that comes from being like I always have my dukes up. I have since I came into pube.
You know, I guess, and I don't, and when
into pube,
and I kind of like have a tendency to be like hyper open and hyper like when I'm one-on-one with somebody at least to a degree, and then of course that
and then of course the walls go up because come on.
But yeah, there is a being too open thing that I for sure have as a result of not having been open for like 10 years, and now it's like the pendulum is just swung into catfish territory.
Sure.
But by the way, best catfish. Like, like she's
really,
like a famous. Like,
she's really good at catfishing.
Like I've seen
you got
her
catfished by the
mugshots.
best.
Yeah,
Do
only
you
the
think
best.
there's a story?
See, same beats.
Yep.
Do you think there's a story there that we could just use as like 22 catfish? Like if we could just write it.
I
I'll let
hosted
you
a
write
show
that.
about catfish.
I know you
That
did.
she was in the promotional material for.
Well, yeah, had to have been. Or some, I've seen her stuff.
The other interesting part of your story, which you didn't even touch on, was the woman's intuition side of it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Peter's girlfriend, the reason she looked her up is she was like, if this girl is as successful and well off as she claims
Why is she
to be,
with Elliott?
how was she able to say yes to 2 dates, like
Oh,
spur
in
of the
a row.
moment
Okay,
dates
but
in
can
a row?
I mean, I'm not going to be that person, but can I just point out that once again, a woman came in, a woman that had that constant predatory nature in her life that had to have her dukes up probably 24/7, 365, came in and was like, wait a minute. So
She's
all
also
I'm saying
like a genius,
is
and
maybe
she glanced at it and was
she
like,
100% is a
and she's
genius.
also catfishing Peter,
I
so
think
she
the-
knows.
I think the lesson is that red flags.
Her name is Fred.
Red flags come in all shapes and sizes, and you don't always see them on your own. And it's good to have people in your life that you're just kind of discussing your goings-ons with.
Here's
know?
These
yeah.
are
Let
the
me
lessons.
add one more.
Such a strung out
Talk to your
lesson.
friends. Talk to everyone.
If we're talking,
More reticent.
if we're talking
But don't
lessons,
Google them.
Don't Google them. No. God, don't. Invasion of privacy.
Speaking of like
You'll
the,
follow their Instagram all
And never
motherfucking day
Google.
long.
Yeah, but that's like the equivalent
You're
of
right.
going through to someone's like Instagram all the way to 2014 and liking one photo and then going like,
Did you
"Eh."
go through
shit,
her
I liked it.
Instagram
No.
all the
Uh-huh.
way to 2014?
yeah, but not like I mean,
But no Googling. Of,
never. And I even knew her last name, and I just didn't Google her. But here's what I'm gonna say about the red flag thing. And this is if we're talking lessons learned. It's so funny, by the way, that it did become like never Google versus always Google, and you're just like, no, like Google if you want to Google. You probably should if you're in a more
Definitely
vulnerable
Google
position.
if you want to Google.
I
for
think
sure.
I feel like you're setting yourself up for a different kind of pain because you even admitted like I'll Google when I'm in love and then you find the secrets.
Oh,
That's
God,
a worse
what a
fall
worse-
from grace.
I-
Not in
Imagine-
love. Not in love.
to be that person,
Not in
but
love.
imagine
No, no,
have.
no.
Okay, opposite.
No,
and
no, no.
having someone inside you and then being like, "Cool, they
I'd
were
say
a
there's some
child
I'm
predator."
so glad
I
we didn't have
honestly-
sex.
I
I'm so
honestly,
glad.
I feel
There.
like
Oh my god.
There.
If
That's
that
what
would
I'm
actually, I
saying.
probably wouldn't be talking about it on the podcast.
I feel
No.
like you know how we like this is a generational thing at this point. I think it's like one of those things where it's like
We're all in the same generation.
remember the whole text like when do you text someone after they give you
Sure,
their
yeah,
number
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like I think this is just something we have to talk about. And I think we found like an interesting kind of middle ground of like when to Google someone. And I think like I like the idea of giving someone like not robbing someone of their first impressions, especially if it's someone that you're
Okay.
gonna meet with just for a fucking casual drink one night. And then I think maybe it's like, what do you Google on the second date?
Okay,
Maybe
so
Google on the
here's the
third
thing.
date.
Yeah.
But
Before
It's
you,
just
the
that's what I
first-
mean
you
by
guys
generational.
The first
fuck.
impression has been had though because the way people are meeting now is on Tinder and whatever.
Right, but I'm talking about first physical, real impression, like when you meet them.
But it's already that impression is already,
That's already
provided.
Not
and
really.
installed.
Like,
yes,
I would
by
disagree, Joe.
Instagram,
I
by
disagree.
any. If
Here's
you do
why I
anything
disagree with
on
that.
the net, you're
In-
skewed.
Right, but Instagram, even texting, Twitter, whatever, you're putting forth like this superhero version of yourself where you're like your
Which
life
is
is
why
perfect.
someone should probably Google
your
you
life
to
is
find
this.
out
Ooh,
you're a
man,
cat.
I
Or
should
just
Instagram
fucking meet
better.
someone. Or just meet someone. Like fucking meet someone. And if you're a judge of character in any way, you can tell if someone's like fucking not okay. And if not, Google them on the second
that's
date.
not true at all.
I
because-
really think this
I
is
agree,
totally
Steve.
No.
right.
I agree. yeah.
Right?
I
Okay,
do agree
because-
fully. Yeah.
I just
But
think it's
here's the
gross. Like
thing.
if someone came to me, if I went on a date with someone, first fucking date, and I wasn't who I was. I wasn't like a YouTube person or whatever. And they were like, "So I Googled you." I'd be like, "Gross."
You don't have to
Well,
bring
of
it
course
up.
not with that stupid voice.
But it's weird. It's like,
So
you know what I mean?
Googled you.
I
But
won't
it's
even
like-
listen to a podcast. If they have
That's
a podcast,
what I'm saying,
I don't
exactly,
listen to.
exactly.
Give them a
Find
chance
their
to
little
sit
booty
across
on
from me.
Instagram.
Yeah. I dated Brie for 3 years, and I didn't watch anything she made.
I also, if they... Yeah, I don't watch any of the stuff of anybody that I've ever
That's so
been
funny.
with. But I forgot what I was going to say. It's really funny.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I think you meet you in person, and then you. Oh, and speaking of red flags and retrospect and lessons learned, I think if there is a lesson, it's that there for all the signs, there was like this thing where I just didn't listen to the thing. Like I actively told this person that she was hiding something, and then she actively told me like a day later that like it's so funny that like there's that I think I'm hiding something, and I was like, why are you bringing this up? And then more and more stuff started to not add up, and I still just actively ignored it, and so I think, and it took Pete's girlfriend being like, let me put some dots together here and maybe like explore this for a second. And if anything, like I think what you're saying, Steve, to your point of like, you meet and there's red flags that pop up, you get a sense of their character. I take on one hand comfort in knowing that there were little spikes happening in my brain, but the terrifying thing is that it didn't work. Like I'm just this naive puppy dog who was just like, you seem cool and you like me, okay, let's be fans. And then you come to
That's
find
why
out
I
that it's
feel-
a criminal, a real criminal,
And you're
that's why
seeing her this Saturday.
and we are hitting it off.
That's why I feel like there's a lot
the
of
worst
things.
part's still the racist stuff.
That's why I feel like there's a lot of things to take from this situation that Elliott has decided to share with everyone, which I think is great, and I love that. And also just kind of like going forward in your own personal lives for people who are listening. And obviously, none of us are fucking experts on this, and we're all just kind of like,
Oh, yeah.
we all have
It's
our
all
own perspectives
it's all
on shit.
experience perspective.
Yeah, and no one's saying their way of doing things is right.
Mine's
and,
right.
Except for Lee. But I do think that I really do think it's just one of those things where it's like we live in an age, especially for women, where it sucks and it's harder and it's always been hard and definitely fucking just do what you feel is right, you know? Like if you want to
Except
Google
for
someone,
catfishing. Don't catfish.
then
people.
Google
catfishing.
someone.
I
Well,
even-
obviously,
Don't
like
catfish.
if you
I
wanna
would have
Google-
Googled too if it had been a reverse thing where they'd reach out. If somebody reaches out to me, and I don't know what this says about me, but if they like actively like find me, then for sure, like I Google,
It's just
I'm like,
kind
this
of like-
person's
I
not normal,
feel like it's
which
this-
speaks probably to lack of self worth. But we can talk about that in another podcast.
I do feel like it's
But if
this.
I
It's
reach
like
out-
a prey predatory thing too.
It's very like if
It's like
someone's
I'm on the hunt. I don't need to Google you.
I really do feel like
Hold on. Can you do that again?
I'm on the hunt. I don't need to Google you.
I think it's just I don't know, man. It's really like a weird thing.
It is a weird world.
It just goes
I'm
into
only
the
talking about perspective of like
Yeah.
this is a very, and I'm gonna say this is a very fortunate thing that could have happened for as much as strife and kind of in a weird whatever turmoil it's caused you, which I don't like at all because I understand that it probably has because it feels very like invasive and like the rug's been pulled out from under you, et cetera, et cetera. Dating's hard.
Oh yeah,
Fuck.
you were legitimately scared.
Shook. You were probably shook.
I was looking over my shoulder. I had to get my computer out of this office, and I had Mike like wait for me at night. And I was
Yeah,
like, kind
dude,
of like, I
that's the
locked my
thing.
door for like to my bedroom. I locked my door, and like I found myself doing these things. And
Welcome to womanhood.
yeah, and it was like that, and it did make me go like, oh my god, it did give me that perspective, and I don't want to like gloss over that because I remember being like, I was telling the story, and at one point, the first time I told it was the day after on stage, and I stopped and asked them to turn the lights up for a second to like, and I was like, okay, let me just double
That she's not
double check.
here.
She's
Yeah.
not here.
because
yeah.
I didn't know, and like thank God, like you know, I kept my address and everything. Like it definitely made me literally look over my shoulder, and it did suck. And it still will affect me. Like I'm finding myself very distrusting now, even more so than previously maybe I was. But more so than all of that is just this, like how crazy.
yeah, that's nuts.
Like come on.
truly.
And I guess
Like-
kind
No,
of
it's
like
nuts.
at the end of all this too, it's like as technology progresses and as society progresses and as we all have access to kind of like things on an instant basis,
Yeah.
and we all kind of have to like rise up with that kind of progression. And I think it's like as it becomes easier and easier for people to catfish, maybe it is a good idea to kind of like raise your awareness of that type of thing. But I think there's a balance between like straight up not trusting people and straight up just kind of like. That's why I feel like there really is a thing to be said about kind of like maybe there should just be an established thing where it's like you give someone a chance. Especially when we're talking about dating.
To be fair, I don't think Lee is talking about look somebody up, Google them, and find everything out about them. It's like look at the first 5 search results and make sure it's not.
But even then, you might not find out that much.
Maybe, but maybe you would.
Sometimes you could.
Sometimes you could.
Yeah,
but my thing truly is like, I mean, I have 2 friends right now that are like together and they're truly in love, and it's a really funny thing because what they did is they Googled each other and they found out each other's Instagrams and stuff.
And they had both murdered a family in Texas.
What? Who are they?
Are you not part of the chat?
Are they
Steve?
open to poly?
No, not yet, but I think they'll get there.
That is sex with birds that are typically owned by pirates.
No, Joe, that's having sex while watching Along Came Polly.
What a horrible thing to do. Like, ooh, it's the ferret scene. No, I have friends that were together, and they like through Instagram found out that we were mutual friends, and it's a very funny thing. Both of them have been aggressively hurt.
Oh, what do we have here?
That is not good. That's not good.
It's a silverfish.
It's a silverfish.
Don't be scared.
I don't know why it's a silverfish. We don't have any old furniture or anything.
Yeah, we're talking catfish in here, everybody, not silverfish.
Yeah, this guy's like, somebody say my name.
No,
little
nerd,
guy.
go away.
Is this the girl that you've been seeing?
He's fine.
She found you.
She looks about the same now when I think about her in my mind.
It's just a silverfish. They don't do nothing. They're just cute little babies that come out of the sea.
Here's another fun.
Wait, okay.
That thing is that bit's dead. That's
all I'm saying
oh no,
is
it will never.
They were
art.
together. They had mutual friends, and they literally messaged me because I was a mutual friend of both of them, and they said, "Hey, I'm not trying to be
Just
that
crawled
person,
into
but
Lee's
I've good God, don't."
I'm sorry, it didn't.
It's in your hair.
But Joe did blow it down onto the ground near your
good
feet.
fucking come on.
Lee, tell your story. I'm curious about your story.
No,
Let's hear.
Okay, all I'm saying, it'll be quick, but like they both found mutual friend. They both messaged me because they have both been like crazy hurt and crazy messed around, and they both were like, "Hey, is this person a psychopath? Not this, not this, not this." And literally, both of them messaged me within 20 minutes of each other, which I thought was really funny. And I was like, this is hilarious. You should know that she also messaged me.
That's
you
cute.
should know that he also messaged me.
I mean, that's some cute stuff.
That's some cute stuff. And I literally was like, both of them are incredibly deserving of love. And I was very honest because I know both of them very deeply. And I was like, here's this. Like, this person has a lot of trust issues because of her past this. This guy is nothing but love and light, blah, 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 blah. And now they're together and madly in love. And they say it all the time. They're like, yeah, I had to do that. I had to message you in order to do that because I've been through so many things that I couldn't be messed around again. I mean, he literally, his thing was like she had a family. Like, it was like insane. So there's a bunch of different things that
God.
I mean, you're not always as fortunate to have a, friend that knows both of you well and things like that. And I understand the world that we live in. And I do agree with you, Steve, that like as things get more and more, as things get more and more evidenced online and things like that, I just think that there has to be an awareness because I also, and this will be a different thing for a different day, I also truly think that like predatory nature is predatory nature. I don't think it's something like that is lightly shook, and I think that there are people that want to hurt you because of whatever it does to them, and they will find a way, and I think that's unfortunate, but it's not all people, it's not all this, it's not that, but I'm just saying the people that are truly that and are truly in that manipulative, you can call it in madness, you can call it mental health stuff, you can call it whatever, but I truly think like predatory
Karma.
people are predatory. I think they're predatory, and I think you just have to raise awareness to that
Karma
a little
chameleon.
bit.
I would say
Karma chameleon.
my personal experience, even the predatory
Guys, my brother's
thing,
calling. Should I answer the phone?
No,
I think even with like the predatory, like I didn't get that sense. I did get more of a sense of this person is very sadly caught in this world, this fake world that she's in, that she's constructed, and that I didn't.
But
I
even
felt
like
violated.
after like 22 times of things like that, and
But
even after that's a choice
they
that you're
weren't-
making consistently.
Right, but those weren't they weren't predatory like crimes, and I don't want to go into the details of it, but it wasn't anything that would give me pause in that regard in terms of her intent, her malice intent, but definitely in terms of being like a chronic, like
an unstable
pathological
person. Yeah,
liar.
pathological. Yeah,
And so
and also not necessarily adhering to consequences because it's a multiple time
Sociopath.
offense.
Like
sociopathic.
yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Is
but I don't want to give it so much credit.
All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Just say her name. It's Reese Witherspoon.
All right, guys. It's Reese Witherspoon.
Could you
don't Google her last name. Yeah, that's really funny, Joe. But yeah, it's a fun
sweetheart that is Reese Witherspoon.
Legally Blonde 3's
Reese Witherspoon.
Anyway,
No,
Was there a 3?
I won't continue
There's
going
gonna
on
be.
it, but I just think that
Oh.
be awareness. Oh, there's gonna be a 3. Get excited, Steve.
I'm ready.
I'm ready too, Steve.
I've never seen any of them, so
So you're ready for
Liar,
3
You need
though.
to see the first
liar,
2?
Pants on
I'm
fire.
serious, I've
you know
not.
every word, and I know it.
I don't watch
All
a
right.
movie unless it's the third in
good
the
talk,
trilogy.
guys. Good
Do we
talk.
move
That was,
on? All right.
that was heated,
Move
and I love
on.
all of you, Lee, and I love you, and
I
thank
love
you
you.
for
I
being
love you very much.
protective.
It's a protective thing. 100%.
I get it. And
Always.
yeah, it's fun.
All right, who's got an upbeat?
Oh God, I
Story.
don't have an upbeat.
We're gonna go spike up, and then
Yeah,
we're
we're
gonna
gonna go
spike
straight
back
the
down.
fuck down.
Okay, yeah, I'll go. Do you guys know what a fossa is?
Fossa?
It's the thing
Mufasa.
water comes out of.
No, you know what a fossa is?
It's a
No.
lion.
It's not a. Well, yeah, that's a Mufasa or a cow. Fill in the blank. Mufasa. That was dumb.
What? What were you going for?
Nothing. I don't know.
You bungled it hard.
This is one of those moments in the podcast where we're doing that thing where we go from tone to tone with this, like
And we
Cha-ching.
can't do it.
Yeah.
We're just stumbling the
Cha-ching.
fuck over
All
everything.
aboard the train.
find a
wreck.
bit, find a bit.
Yeah.
What is the bit? A fossa is
That's why I was like, let's answer this phone call for my brother.
I know.
Yeah.
But I was like, in terms of the predatory nature,
I was
think
like, oh
that-
god, here we go.
you were
There
cutting
goes
through the
it.
tension.
There's just
Yeah,
so much.
I was like,
There's
this
so
will be
much.
fun. This will be cute and nice.
I stepped on it, and you
Wait,
I'm
what's
sorry.
the fossa?
So we went to my family and I. We went to the Living Zoo in
See, in a-
Palm Springs.
Yes, it's so great. I
It's
love the Living Zoo.
It's really cool, and there's
really
there's a bunch
cool.
of animals from all over the world, including Africa and Madagascar. and-
giraffes.
And there are giraffes.
We
There's a
kind of
lot
all live in a living zoo, don't we?
right,
Steve.
right.
There's the bit.
We're
We
all
found
in a
it.
cage. We're all caged up here. But anyways, we're going through and we're seeing all these cool animals. We see camels up close, and the kids are happy. I'm happy. It's like I'm sad a little bit because zoos are inherently
Your face
sad.
just lit up when you said,
Yeah.
"I'm happy." It was
Yeah,
really
but
cute.
when you actually get up to these animals
Yeah.
up close that you never see, it's always fascinating,
They're-
right?
they're
You're like,
amazing.
oh, the aliens are here. All these like animals from different
Majestic,
continents
beautiful.
and stuff. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Megafauna.
But we end up going in front of this this enclosure, and it's a pretty big enclosure, and there's a lot of things to climb on. I'm trying to find the thing that's living in it, and then I see it, and what I see is something that looks like a cougar met a weasel on Tinder, and they met each other, and it wasn't a catfish situation, and after a long time they fell in love, and then they had a child, and that thing then went
Yes.
and met a lemur,
what a
and then they
fuss
had
is.
sex, and then so there are these really elongated.
Like otter. They almost look like
Look like
otter,
otters?
lion, weasel things.
Yes, they're so cool
Whoa.
looking. So I discovered what a fossa is for the first time, and it's this creature from Madagascar.
And it's actually in the movie Madagascar.
Is
actually,
it? The
Yes, it is in the
fossa?
movie.
Oh.
I'm going to show you guys a picture of it, and we'll put one up on the visual part of this podcast.
I wonder. I'd like to know the Latin and if there is a connection between
that is what a
Mufasa and
fossa
Fossa.
is. That is not a cat.
Weird. That's
Isn't
not
that
a cat.
cool?
It's not a cat. It's in the same family as the civets.
Yeah, you could tell by the tail, but it definitely. Or
And
like
the tail
hind-
is as long
hind
or
legs.
longer than its body.
It looks like it's got kangaroo legs.
Yeah, it's
the way
a
it's sitting there.
fascinating animal, and we'll show.
You know what it's
Steve as
like?
well.
It's like that one when Steve and I were talking about the Kermit and Fozzie Bear thing.
Yes.
Wow.
Where did I see a photo of that thing? Did
Steve
you
put
post
I
it
that?
up.
showed you.
Yeah.
Oh, and I posted it on my Instagram. Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Wow. Look
That's
at
the
this
largest predator
pretty
in
thing.
Madagascar.
Dude, that's not a cat either.
Yeah.
He's beautiful.
that cool?
I know. I want to cuddle it.
I do too.
I know. Probably rip my face off.
Yeah,
though,
rip
and cuddle
your
it.
throat out.
Uh-huh.
Eat
It would
your
chew you
nails.
alive.
Yeah.
You gotta eat your butt for breakfast.
Oh, it'll eat me right up.
Oh, baby.
I will last it the winter.
Look how cute he is.
So
he
these
is like a little
fossas-
weasel guy.
These fossas are the biggest predators on Madagascar.
You know what they look
carnivores
like? They
on
look like the
Madagascar.
weasels from Toontown. They look like
Yes.
the
Yeah, they do.
that
Yes,
they
they do.
truly
You
do.
see what a baby one looks like?
Oh my god, baby fudge.
Isn't it amazing?
Wow.
Oh my fucking god! It's the cutest little thing.
So everybody look up a fossa right now, so you know what we're looking
Look
at.
up a fossa
We
and then
need to show the-
immediately look up a baby fossa.
Yeah.
But we'll post. Yeah, we'll post.
Look at the
video
nards
or
on
photo.
these fossas.
Oh, they have very interesting genitalia that I learned about
Nards.
for sure.
Nards.
Let me have a look.
Hold on, I missed it. I gotta Google fossa nards.
Let me get in there.
Fossa
Fossa
nards.
nards. Oh my god! I'm sorry.
So anyways,
Did you show the camera? Did you show the?
I mean, we'll cut to it.
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
bring
cut
it
to
up.
it. Yeah,
Editing.
We'll cut to it. We'll cut
So
Okay.
the thing that goes through your mind when you first see that is, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And it saw a lizard outside of its enclosure.
Although I guess-
and I
I
got
guess
to
there
watch
are
it
still
try
the,
and get that,
Aw.
watch its
Oh, that's
predatory
really cool.
instincts kick in.
I don't know. It'd be hard to
And
show. Sorry.
It's so cute.
I didn't know what I was going to parlay this into, other than the fact that, when you see something like this that is adorable and like kind of compact size, you're like, I want that as a pet.
Yes,
and you have
always,
that thought just
immediately.
for a second, and then you go, no, I can't. And then I was going to parlay that into my daughter constantly asking me if we can get a fox for a pet.
Cute.
Yes.
Which I'm like, well, there's a billion reasons
Yeah.
why we can't do that. Which, by the way,
Truly.
did you know that some fox have the same like scent coming out of their glands as skunks?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
you can smell it from so far
And
away.
it just
just
comes
a
out. It's
stinky
not like a
scent
defense
gland. Yeah.
mechanism.
yeah,
It's just
it's
what they smell like.
It's just their odor.
Wow.
There's a really good Instagram called Juniper
Juniper
Fox. Juniper Fox is the
Fox.
best, and she has Fig Fox too. Figs was he was like a guy that was gonna be turned into fur.
Yeah,
but
right. It's not a real Instagram account.
Likely story.
But wait,
Photoshop.
she's actually really the thing I love about her is that she's truly honest. Like it's really cute to be like, oh my god, this is so cute. But then she'll be like, this is her 24/7, 365. If you ever wanted a fox, know that this is the noise you get to listen to, and it's like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
They're
the
wild
cutest.
And then
animals.
she'll be like, this is
Just
a
follow
couch. And it's
Juniper
like
Fox,
a torn
yeah.
up couch. And she's like, this is the carpet. This is what I came home to this. Like, if you want a fox.
You guys have Googled
urine
what a
smell.
fox actually sounds like,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
After that, the huge "What Does a Fox Say" song,
Yeah.
everybody was like, "What is it actually?" And it's just screaming. It sounds like a screaming woman dying in the
Yeah,
woods.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
it's insanity. So I was gonna parlay that into speaking of pets, what was your guys' favorite pet growing up? Did you guys have any
Aw.
pets
Dude,
that you
I got
loved?
him.
What was it? What was its name? And let's talk about that real quick.
Bear. He was a Pembroke Rose Corgi. He was tricolor.
Oh,
His name was Bear.
His name was Little Bear Morgan.
Do you have photos?
Oh my!
I could probably find some photos. It'd
Find
take a
some
second,
photos
but-
for the edit.
Oh.
So
He
we'll
would
post
he would
baby.
sleep and nuzzle. We were buddies. He was my best friend for a long time.
Oh,
Passed
Bear.
away. He got corgi sick. His legs he got too big. But
Yeah,
Too
don't buy corgis, guys. I know it's sad to say, but
Well.
they're not happy little creatures.
wow. That was
Well,
a
they're kinda my-
I mean, they're less
statement.
happy if
Sorry.
they don't ever have
Kinda
an
my
owner.
favorite.
I mean, I guess that's true. I mean, but I mean, like, yeah, it's a
We
vicious
got all
cycle.
these packs of corgis running the streets without homes.
No,
I call
there's
that
no
heaven.
such thing.
That's heaven.
Yeah, they're not.
Corgi gang.
You're just talking designer dogs in
Yeah,
general,
designer
homie.
dogs. Yeah, exactly.
Mine was Gus. He was, king. I have two dogs that I am tragically in love with. You guys know that. Gus still takes the ticket, man.
Really?
Yeah,
Ooh.
truly, and that's saying a lot.
Do you whisper that into your current dog's
I do.
ears?
I say you're never gonna be as good as Gus. But Gus showed up on our doorstep, and years later we found out that my sister actually found him on the side of the road, and then brought him to the doorstep,
That's
and was like, "Oh my
hilarious.
god, a dog showed up!"
Wait, what
which
kind of
is
dog
just
was
great.
Gus?
Gus was like a mix. The vet was like, he might be coyote. He's
Oh, it was a
wild.
rat.
Like he was
Okay.
a truly wild dog, and he was the dog that like would bring us presents of like the next door neighbor's like rooster
Children.
like murdered on our porch, and he'd be like, cool. or like
man.
foxes and squirrels, and you'd be like, oh, or the neighbor's cat. That was one that was bad.
Gus.
Gus.
Wait, he got the cat?
Yeah, he eviscerated
Yikes,
him
damn,
and left him on
Gus.
the porch. But that being
Ooh.
said, he was the dopest.
Ooh, if that was in a city neighborhood,
Oh, yeah,
that would
it'd
be a
be-
put down dog.
But also the cat was an outside cat, so
Yeah.
welcome to it.
All right.
Gus sounds like a hard,
Dude, he was a hard
hardened
dog.
shell
But
of
that
criminal.
being said,
Gus would like
Yeah.
smoke
He was-
cigarettes outside.
Did you Google
Yeah.
Gus
Yeah.
before you got
I
him?
did Google Gus before I got him, and although his family had a torrid past, I gave him a chance at redemption.
I feel like Gus cat called other dogs when they were walking.
Must
by.
have.
100%.
Yeah.
He also was like red, and he had like bright yellow eyes, and he was just like this
Whoa.
red, like scraggly guy, and he was just like,
You owned a lycanthrope.
100%.
That was a werewolf.
Yeah. And he was great. But also he was
Once
like
a month,
love
he would
and
disappear.
light.
It was crazy.
But then Uncle Tom would come into town.
But that's actually that's not even a joke. There would
Bright
be
yellow
days where
eyes.
he'd be
yeah,
gone.
bright yellow eyes, very mean, angry man.
Oh, sweet Uncle Tom.
Yeah,
he had
and
his
then a
way.
full moon would come around and we just wouldn't see him for days.
But then Gus is back.
But
and
then
that was
dead
nice.
animals would show up on our doorstep.
We've been 100%.
Then Uncle Tom would say, "Get my gift." We're like, "No, what are you talking
I
about?"
don't know. Yeah, it was Gus. For
That's
sure.
really funny.
Wow.
Gus, that King Gus, he was the best.
King Gus.
He will
Gus.
always do it.
You know, Donald Trump has never had a pet, like a
Jeez,
dog.
That makes so much
doesn't that
sense.
just
It makes so
There's
That is
2 or 3
much
things about him I think that
sense.
just explain him.
My brother
Wrap
said,
him up in a bow.
I
Just
was
think
talking to
about
my
how-
brother recently, and he said the other day, like, he was working with someone, like, really, like, working with someone on something. And then they were like, yeah, I'm just not really a dog person. And Jake said, they have, like, called him back. And we're like, do you want to keep working on this? And he's like, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, there it
He
is.
literally was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm
Yeah.
good.
Just think about how much empathy you learn from owning a pet, like,
Truly.
or just having a companion
Truly,
pet
truly.
around.
Some people learn.
And
So
to have
boring,
like
yeah.
the way pets come into your heart and then they sit there for a little
Yeah,
bit and then they
nuzzle
exit and you go
in.
through the pain of losing them and it makes you appreciate
Ah.
love a lot. It's really nice.
It
I
really
had
is.
a real sweet little buddy boy named Toby. He was a Cocker Spaniel.
Ooh,
and,
Toby.
Great dogs.
Toby was a cute baby boy, and I loved him very much. And my brother and I used to feed him hot dogs through the window.
Yeah. Oh, what a visual. I love it so
like my
much.
brother and I, because
Toby.
he was an outside dog and an inside dog. And so sometimes my brother and I would be in our room, and then we would just, I don't know why, we would just go to the fridge and take the pack of hot dogs, and there was a little
many
hole
hot
in the window
Why didn't you just bring 'em
screen,
inside?
because it was just funnier to like shove a hot dog through a hole in a window screen and just have him go like, I love your hot dogs, give me those hot dogs. My name's Toby, I'm a Cocker Spaniel. Yeah. Toby was a real sweet boy.
Toby
Oh,
the Cocker
Toby.
Spaniel.
Toby the Cocker Spaniel. What about yours,
Toby.
We
Jeff?
had a big collie named Heidi that
That
we
tracks.
got from a different family
Yeah.
because Heidi kept getting out of her enclosure,
Sure.
and then for whatever reason she just kept escaping and coming to our house, and this was all the way
Oh,
across
that's
town, like 2
cute.
miles, and we don't know why. And eventually my mom went over and was like, "Can we just have the dog, I guess?" And they were like, "Yes, you can have the dog." So we had Heidi the collie, and she was like, it was one half frustrating but one half endearing.
Yeah.
Because she would follow us everywhere. Like if we went to school, we'd have to look behind us and make sure Heidi wasn't following. And we'd see her sneaking behind trees. We'd see her sneaking, and she would say just far enough, and then we'd see her and be like, "Heidi, go home." Go home, and then she'd hang her head and start walking back home like the Hulk with the
Oh,
theme
Heidi.
song.
No.
And then as soon as we started walking, there she was again, trying like this
Wait,
big collie.
Tell her to go home and then hit that bungle music.
Heidi, go home. Okay, come on.
Yeah,
So-
that didn't work.
So it was problematic. It was problematic, but it's also she just wanted to be part of the crew. So we'd be at school, and then
Just
every
wanna
once
be
in a
with
while,
you,
like we'd get a call from the principal. He'd be like, "Your dog's here. You gotta your dog can't be here." So we'd have to take the dog back.
What a dream that is for me. Your dog's here. I'd be like, great, let her
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Like,
She was a sweet.
Right on time.
right on time, Heidi. Come on and sit down, babe. We're doing fractions.
Heidi the collie.
Oh, I when getting picked up from school with the dog in the car,
Yeah,
the
that
little
was a
corgi
dream.
staring out the
Oh,
window, and then
yeah.
him getting all excited and his little
bear.
stub.
Bear to corgi.
Dogs are just the fucking best.
How
the
old were
best,
you guys
man.
during your best? How old? Because I feel like mine was formative years, like teen years, and I think that plays a
I
big
had a
role.
lot
in
of
it.
really good dogs. I mean, I had like Lacey was my first dog. She let us do everything. We were kid. It was like 3 kids, all under 8, just tearing her up,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
And like she loved it. But I think it was like 13 to 18
Yeah.
was the true Gus years. And
I
he
was
was
young.
a
That
real
was the barriers.
treasure.
Mm.
I was
like-
younger too.
I was like 2 to 13, something like that.
Interesting.
And
I was
then-
I was more like 7 to
Yeah.
like 15
Okay.
or something.
Yeah,
like
you
that,
weren't a 15-year-old throwing hot dogs.
It was
through a window.
probably
Oh,
better.
absolutely. I was a 15-year-old.
I was too busy.
Through a hole
I
in
was
a
too
screen
busy
window.
as a teenager. I don't think I would have been an effective. I think I would have owned and done all like the chores part of it right, but I don't know if I would have been around enough to enrich her life
Yeah.
in my teen years because I was
Oh,
always
yeah.
out doing activities and
That's
sports and
fair.
stuff like that.
But that's part.
I want a
of-
dog.
You come home and you snuggle.
I send you
Um,
dogs almost every week. I send you a
know.
dog.
But
That
it's
I
got to
think-
be my. It's got to be
I
my
understand.
process. You know.
I
Lee, what's your
understand.
topic, sweetie?
Oh, I had a topic. As you know, I went camping.
Oh wait, real quick
Oh,
before
no.
your topic,
Oh.
Lee.
Great. Okay.
Oh
go ahead.
yeah.
What
Good idea.
what you wearing under those clothes?
A bra.
What?
Okay, sorry. What are you wearing under those pants?
Underwear.
Do they happen to be MeUndies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, what
why
a
are you?
coincidence.
Why are you bringing this up, Joe?
What a
Ooh,
coincidence.
Because we are sponsored today by MeUndies.
The undies.
Hey guys, take a moment to think about your undies, just a moment.
Okay.
Just take a pause.
Okay.
I'm
hold on.
thinking.
Yeah.
Alright.
And if you're thinking about MeUndies, are you pretty comfy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You are comfy because they literally are the best. We all rock these underwear. We all super love them. They're the
Comfy.
comfiest dang underwear I
They
think
really
we've
are
Yeah.
the
ever worn.
comfiest
Certainly.
dang underwear.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and they're very bright and vibrant.
Soft.
They got personality.
Yeah, they do. They are. MeUndies are made with a material sustainably sourced from beechwood trees, everybody. Their naturally soft fiber makes a fabric that won't sag down or ride up.
This
They
is
feel
true.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel supported right now, Lee?
I feel incredibly supported.
You feel like all your junk is held in nice.
Well, it has to be.
With MeUndies, you can get undies sent right to your door. No more hunting around for the perfect pair at a crowded store and eventually settling for something good enough. You know?
Oh, truly.
I think Steve just filled his MeUndies.
Yes,
With
I
a
did. I
fart.
gave it a little bit of hot air.
You're lucky.
They
My
need
un-
that twice a day. Keeps them aerated.
yeah,
keeps them
the
fresh.
MeUndies were feeling a little chilly, so I
Yeah,
sort
you
of
warmed them
warmed
up.
Yeah.
Little simmer for your undies. MeUndies is so sure you're going to love your first pair that if you're not happy, they'll do whatever they can to get you the right pair. And if they can't, keep them and they'll refund you. So it's a risk-free thing to try. And if you want to, we got a little Valley Folk offer for you here. MeUndies has a deal for our listeners. First-time purchasers get 20% off the first pair of MeUndies and free shipping. That's a double bonus. 20% off and free shipping.
Good deal.
Get your 20% off and your 100% satisfaction guarantee by going to MeUndies.com/Valley.
What you should do too, if you're a first-time order, is order a bunch. Like just redo all your underwear.
Yeah.
That way you have, because there's
Yes.
something to be said about having the same type of thing. You know, like
I am a little peeved I don't have all MeUndies
right.
underwear.
Like I want to deck out my that way you
Yeah.
always know the feeling. You can grab.
also,
and
you can
think-
always have a fun little thing around
A
your
little secret,
nards.
a
like
little
a nice
secret.
little avocado nerds.
Yeah.
That's cute.
MeUndies.com/Valley, everybody. Check it out.
Yeah.
Check it out.
yeah.
What you got, Lee? Sorry to
Oh
interrupt.
no, it's okay. I don't know. I'm
grab
trying to
some
not make
coffee,
it. Grab
but
some
I'm gonna
coffee.
listen to
No,
you.
please.
I'll fill you in when you get back.
Yeah, fill me in. I went camping. It was wonderful. It was nice and transformative. We went by a beach, and that was nice. I do prefer woods over beach. I'm gonna say it. It's polarizing, I know.
I don't-
But
I
this
don't
has been
think
a
it's that
polarizing
polarizing.
episode. I understand.
I think wood camping is far superior to beach camping. There's no
camping
sand.
Is really cool, but there is sand, and then also like it's beach camping. Like I want to go hiking. I want to go do some cool things. That being said,
Yeah, you're either building a sandcastle or going swimming.
there's fire pits, so that's
Yeah.
what's cool. Like that is nice, and then also there's like the relaxation of like the waves crashing and lulling you to sleep, and et cetera, et cetera. You get it.
You gotta
But-
watch out for those sharks, though.
Yeah,
You
there
get
was
in
a
your
lot
tent.
of dolphins. That was actually really.
Did you see
cool to watch.
dolphins?
Tons of freaking dolphins,
Cute.
dude. It was really cute, and also
Dolphins are cute.
pelicans. A lot of pelicans.
Pelicans.
Dolphins are one of those animals that it doesn't matter how many times you see them in real life. If you're just sitting on the beach or in a boat and you see a dolphin, you always go,
it's
"Oh,
always
look at the
dolphin!"
dolphin!"
I know.
Yeah.
No
Look at that
matter
dolphin.
what.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The dolphins.
And you're
and
always
they were
amazed.
doing like a show for us. They were like out
Juggling.
the water, probably in killing something 100%.
Yeah.
Like
having
guaranteed.
copious amounts of
There were
sex,
copious amounts of either having sex or killing something. The normal.
doing the thing where
but-
they just beat another dolphin up with their
Yeah.
noses. Yeah.
But that was really cool, and it was super awesome. Oh, here you go, buddy.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's
let's not spill that
nice.
on Lee.
Oh, no, I'm fine. You're all right. No, but it was really cool, super cool. My parents were there. They love camping as well, and we'd planned this trip out years ago. And by years I mean last year. But we
Year
found this
ago.
really a year ago. They have this super cute little 1963 Oasis like trailer, which is like all refurbed and done like a little 60s trailer. And
Cool.
It's so stinking
Airstream?
cute.
Is it an Airstream?
It's not an Airstream. It's like, but just as cool and kitschy and
Yeah,
like
fun.
weird and fun. And it was super fun. And we'd like redone Gus, the van that we've been working on. And it was like one of those, the most satiating thing to like put so much work and effort into something, which we truly did. Like when I talk about everything that we have done to it, it wasn't just like we got a van and we did this. It was like, no, we got a van. We completely gutted it. We soundproofed it.
You gutted Gus?
We got a gut. We got a Gus. We got
Well,
it
yeah,
in.
this was the inaugural trip after
This
your
is
makeover.
this is the maiden voyage,
Cool.
you know, and so we did that. We bought an entire set of cabinets from a different rusted old van. We completely cleaned them out, like triple whatever, put it into a bed. It was crazy, and so that was really fun. It was a maiden voyage. My pops has Meniere's, which is it's a disease, but it's like it's a
Say it
degenerative
again?
Meniere's disease.
Meniere's?
Is that like
and
a
it's
French word?
It does sound like it, but it's like
Meniere's.
basically what it is like your ears kind of just start to, there's cochlea in it and it kind of just starts to disintegrate a little bit, and so he's been slowly going deaf over the last 2 years, which is crazy. And also, like, if you know him at all, he's this brilliant mind. So I think that he struggles a lot with that. Like, and it's not just like, oh, he's going deaf. It comes with like crazy vertigo, which is horrible.
That's awful.
Crazy vertigo. It comes with like, you know, everything that you hear is like a wave of sound, and it's insane. And so he has the best hearing aids that he can buy, but it doesn't matter because it all sounds insanity. And it's just like when he turns. So on this trip, it happened, and it was so crazy. I actually got to see it. He was like laying down positionally, and his eyes went every single direction, and the like pupils went opened up and closed and opened up and closed. And he was like, "Did you see that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, it's called blah, 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 blah. And it truly is like me trying to find my place. It feels like I'm falling backwards. It feels like I'm falling
Jesus.
forward.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
dizziness, and it's insane.
His eyes went different directions?
Oh, different. I mean, truly, like you couldn't train your eyes to do it. What it looked like was a camera shutter, like trying to focus. You know, when you see like that, like it truly was like this,
Christ.
and like both of them were
It's
like
just
going
like a
crazy.
short in the system.
Like a short in the system. And he was
Yeah.
just like, and he's, my topic is like, I'm so blown away by him constantly, because this is something that, especially for him and his mind, and you see him like check out of conversations, and rightly so, because he can't, it's just exhausting to try and do things. And he nothing drives him more insane than like, than saying never mind. So we've had to learn as a family that like, instead of saying something and him going, what? Going, never mind. Like we can't, we have to like actually be like, say it again, say it
Gotcha.
as many times as you need to
interesting.
hear
Yeah,
him.
yeah, 'cause it's
you know,
not-
it's
He
not,
doesn't want to miss out on
he
it.
doesn't want to miss out on it, and also it just frustrates him, which I totally understand. But my topic is like, he's going through this, and to anyone else, I truly think it would be something that there's an insanely high suicide rate in Meniere's. There's a crazy high suicide rate because you just can't cope with it.
Well, your body's
And your-
betraying you.
Your body is betraying you.
You're unable
and
to like experience life.
You're unable, and also just like, again, I think if he was just going deaf, it'd be a different thing. But it's like everything. It's like the vertigo, the this, the that, the not knowing when it's going to be a sound. Like it's like sound in your ear constantly.
Oh my gosh.
But his spirit is so insane, is so incredible, and it's just one of those like this whole trip kind of reinvigorated me in a weird way, because it was so crazy to see him just being like, this sucks and it is what it is, but you know what, like I'm breathing, I'm living. And it was like such a inspiration. It was truly something that I needed to hear and see from him, because it was just so like, why am I complaining about anything?
It's a
You know?
perspective
Like,
providing
it was
moment.
such a perspective providing moment, and he's like sitting there under the stars that he can't look at because they all get dizzy, and he was just like, I bet they're beautiful, they're always beautiful, and you're just like, fuck. And it's so hard. Like I know that a lot of our listenings are actually going through like parents aging, which is something that's very weird that you don't think about until you're directly smashed in it.
It scares you later
It
in life.
scares you. And also just like, these are, to me, they're my constants. You know, they're my North Stars. So it's like a very weird thing to like be like, oh my God, like this is real. You know, they age, things happen, and like this, no one could foresee this, no one could prevent this, you know. But I just want to say, like, it was one of those things where I truly needed it as perspective, and like even just that shifting things that I don't know if you guys have experienced this, like with your parents aging and going like, you know, as you get older, there's things that happen where you either become more candid with your folks, and you kind of go like, this is so nice to get into this new relationship where we like they used to be my parents and now they're kind of my friends, and we talk about real life stuff, and I didn't think I could talk about real life stuff with them, and I do. And then there's those things that come along that you're like, oh shit, you're aging and this is a reality for me, you know? Like, it was one of those things that was just a very enlightening trip for me to be like, oh.
And it makes you want to have
Perspective.
those conversations more often.
Yes, it truly does. And it also like makes me go like, oh, I just need to talk to him about it, because he's so, I think that the natural proclivity is to be like, it's okay, we don't talk, you know, like, no one, it's all right, like, this is something that's frustrating. But he wanted to talk about it. He's just like, yeah, this sucks, this is balls, this is full balls, you know, like, but his perspective was so good. And so I didn't know if there's anything that you guys ever experienced in that way of like, as you get older, it's not just parents aging, it's parents aging up in the weird way of like you being an adult and you talking about like divorce or talking about things that you go like, oh, this is, thank you for being honest with me about this, or thank you for like growing up with me about this. I don't know, it's a fascinating thing. I don't know if it's happened in your guys' life.
I've always tried to push, I think from the age 15 on, I tried to make a conscious effort to push conversations with my dad and try to get him to talk about things that maybe you don't necessarily want to talk to your kids about. I would ask him about his first relationships. I'd ask him about when he lost his virginity. Like I like testing him. It's half a game for me, but it's also getting to know him, and it's opening up a little treasure box every time I get to do it and finding something that wasn't there. And I learn lessons from it. And I highly suggest people try to talk to their parents like humans. You have to drop the hero aspect a little bit and just and come at it on as if you're both on the same level. I think it's fascinating, and I think it's fun for them. I think it's therapeutic for both sides.
Truly.
I think it's eye-opening.
Yeah. It's cool. I don't know. It was just a really cool thing of being like, oh, you're a human. It's so cool that you're a human. And also, you're really dope for being a dope human through this. Like, anyone else would be like, bye, see you later, done.
Perspective is fun, too. Like, I remember how I felt during, let's say, when my mom and my dad got a divorce back in the day. I know how I felt then. I know how I feel now. And I like to have those conversations with them. I'll look back and be like, how are you feeling during that? How did you do? And talk to me about that. And now, how do you feel 20 years later? Like, I think they're all healthy conversations to have.
Yeah, I mean, your parents are humans too, and they probably went through a lot of the same things you went through as a struggling teen or as a struggling adult, and you know,
you kind of forget that you're made of the same stuff that they are.
Yeah,
like 50%.
Yeah.
And
almost exactly.
Yeah,
and that's fact.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, it's really just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, just knowing that your parents are also just humans and also get sick and feel pain and regret and all of those things. It's just something to keep in mind when kind of just like I guess, I don't know, getting older and learning more about them. I mean, it's just important to be there for your family, and you know, especially if they're still around, and you know, it's just that kind of thing. I mean, obviously, like, you know, I lost all of my grandparents. My last grandparent I lost this year, and that was a real tough one. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, life is it's a super quick thing apparently, and especially and even to like a very old man like my grandpa, who was like, it just went by so fast. And it's really just kind of a really interesting thing that is hard to live in, but you know,
anytime you can break down the perceived hierarchy of a relationship, be it grandparent, parent, or even somebody that you idolize, heroes, if you can get to that human level, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you have to challenge yourself to do it.
Sure.
You can learn so much.
Yeah.
And just in case you guys are struggling with that, like I'm just like you. Like, you don't have to.
Sure.
You don't have to put me on this pedestal.
But you should only do it with people that you want to do.
Yeah,
that
that's
with.
really a big
You
one.
know what I mean?
Don't just
Sure.
waste your
Yeah.
time on someone.
definitely Google them before you.
I keep getting like I'm getting very emotional, and so I can't talk too much. But I will say that when everything happened a week and a half ago, as funny as it was, oh shit,
Oh no, you gonna do it? It's
yeah,
okay.
I'm trying not to.
You gotta look at the light. Look at the light.
Look right in the camera. Let your heart sing.
No, God, it's horrible.
Look at this
I
photo
remember
of my
if-
dad.
Hey, cue it up. If Elliott starts crying, you play that goddamn bungle
All right.
music.
Yeah, please do.
that.
Please do.
All right.
Now it's so welcome right now. You're right. It came back. It's a sign.
told you it
Whatever
came
that.
Well, when you force it.
I remember when everything was.
When there's no choice.
when everything was happening with the girl, is like when I was talking to Pete and his girlfriend about it, and I was just like venting and like going through all these emotions. Like I just remember there being this like little kid in me that was like, I want to talk to my dad real bad, and it happened. Yeah, and then I did, and it was great. But there was like the
Was he like, you should have Googled her, son?
Oh, it was so. I mean, the stories. Yeah, he literally said hashtag always Google. But anyway, we started talking. It was great, and it was just like I needed to also just to laugh with him about it, and it was he came through. But yeah, it's the talking and
Oh, we got you.
Ooh, gotcha.
Cue it up.
It's a sensitive day.
Yeah, it really is.
Because we haven't mentioned what day we're actually filming on and the stuff that's happening in the news, and it's a lot, guys. I'm so sorry.
Ooh,
Yeah.
It's been a hard week.
We have to film a thing where I play a misogynistic asshole.
I
in a little
know.
bit.
I know.
I'm gonna have to
and
play a
we've been
woman.
going for an hour and 15 minutes.
I don't know if we can
on
pull
this
these off.
I don't know if I
podcast,
can do this anymore.
and we're doing a long one today, but
Sorry.
no, don't
fine.
apologize.
Grow
It's
up.
fun to do the long ones. Yeah, it's fun to do them, especially when we have time for them.
I cry
but-
when people cry, Elliot. You know that. It's a weird, it's like a total autonomic blah, 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 but I do.
Yeah,
It's a
there's-
thing. It's a real thing. And you want to like,
Crying's beautiful and healthy, and everyone should do it, and don't hold back when you feel it.
you know, they say that the same chamber is opened between crying and laughing.
Mm.
And that's the truth.
Then I guess I cry
Same
every day for
chamber in your
hours.
heart.
Man,
There he
what a
goes.
topic to jump right into after this one.
Oh,
But
Steve, get us out of this.
Steve,
Lighten it up.
get
Here
us
we
out
go.
of this.
here
Steve,
we go. Yeah, let me
Here we
bring
go.
in the brightness here.
Do it, Steve,
I
do
just
it.
I was gonna make a big kind of topic out of this, but we've talked at great lengths about these things. I mean, I've talked about it in my career a lot, and I'm a big advocate for mental health awareness, and especially as someone who's suffered from depression and anxiety to the point where it was very debilitating for me and ruined my life in a lot of ways. So we do talk about this quite a bit, and maybe not enough, but this week and today has been a really tough one in kind of like humanity, just because we lost some pretty amazing people in the celebrity world and kind of like in the pop culture world. Kate Spade is one who we lost to suicide, and then today Anthony Bourdain, who was just like an incredible person, and everyone's sounding off on their amazing stories about Anthony Bourdain, which I think you should dive into, because there's some really, really great, touching stuff out there from people we all love and respect.
And he had quite the up and down existence too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was just really the kind of guy that, like, I think it was Andy Richter who maybe tweeted something about how like they're calling him a celebrity chef, but he was more like an educator and a teacher, and
He brought like the world, at least the world that I didn't know. He brought that into existence for people.
yeah, and there's just a lot of really sweet things being said about him today. But as important as it is to celebrate that man and these people who we lose too early in this strange thing we're living in called life, it's important to just remember that with mental health, it's truly a serious thing, and it's really one of those things where whenever this happens to someone larger than life, someone we idolize, someone who's in the zeitgeist in movies and TV shows, you always think like, how is it possible? They're rich, they have everything, they're famous, and that's brought up on a constant basis whenever we hear about someone like that dying, especially from suicide. And
You can't see into their minds and their hearts.
certainly not. And I think Robin Williams was kind of a massive eye opener for a lot of people,
Yes.
because the man just in every aspect looked like a happy, content person. And at the end of the day, he was really suffering with mental health issues and physical health issues, and just like Lee's. What's your relation to this man who has the ear?
My dad.
Your dad. So, wow, I guess I missed that part. Shit, it's
You're
your
fine.
dad. I love you, Lee. I'm so sorry.
You're fine, babe.
Whoa, where were you?
I heard whatever you said. You didn't say dad. You said
No, I
something
did,
else.
100%.
You said
Yeah.
like my.
Yeah.
Were you going to
Yeah.
do like a shout out to Brad at the end of this
I
episode?
was. No. I was going to do a shout out
Thanks,
to Uncle
Brad.
Tom the werewolf.
Yeah,
That
good.
turns into a dog.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention. Lee, who were you talking about?
Sorry, Elliot.
I'm sorry.
You went on a date?
I did.
I wasn't here at all.
She's great.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute, Lee. What was your topic? It's just one of those things where, you know, you don't know what's going on in people's minds, and you don't know what everyone's struggling with, and if you are the type of person that, you know, has the strength to you know, fight through hardships and you know, your day just, and you have the capability of, within yourself to power through a lot of life's hardships, then that's incredible and amazing and beautiful and wonderful. But there are so many people that don't, and so many people, and it's really something that we all need to be aware of and consider and realize that depression is very real, and anxiety and all of these things, these debilitating things that lead to terrible tragedies are real.
Yeah.
And the proof is all over the internet right now. I mean, just Google Anthony Bourdain and you'll see that this is a very real thing, and Kate Spade and Robin Williams and just every other genius and wonderful person we've lost too soon to such a terrible thing that I believe you can get help for, and the help exists for these things. And you know, we could talk a very, very long time about our own personal experiences with suicide and or depression or any of these things, but I think it's just more important to kind of just focus on the fact that if you are someone listening now and you struggle with happiness, you struggle with your day, you struggle with finding your place in the world, just know that absolutely you're not alone. And you're not. There are many, 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 many countless people that are
All four of us here have
Yes.
felt that. and
absolutely,
struggled with it.
in so many ways, in every possible way, and in ways that we'll never understand also, and but just know you're not alone. And you know, there are ways to get help. Obviously, there's national suicide prevention lifelines, and there's websites you can go to, and even for those of you that are kind of you know, maybe not into the idea of talking to someone on the phone, talking to a stranger, they're using your voice. There's also texts that you can send to hotlines. Like, I think in the U.S. you can text home to 741-741, and there's 24/7 crisis support from people that are just
Beautiful.
there to listen, to talk, to text. You know, it's very easy, very simple. There's just so many there's so many services out there for you, and you know, mental health services, you know, friends, family, people in your life that you trust. They're all there for you, and there's so many options. There's just so many options before choosing the destructive option. And I'm just here to say that, you know, as someone who has felt some end of this spectrum of depression and has been there in some small way, that I understand, and I'm here, and, you know, tweet at me if you want to talk, and you know, and maybe we can DM or something, and I would definitely be open to just like talking to anyone that needs to talk, and because I think it's important, and I do care, and I do feel like everyone has the right to happiness and a healthy life. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from
I
with
think
all
it's
this.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
And I'll
completely.
also link in the description of this video, wherever it ends up, whether it's the I guess it would be the highlight video that we put up on YouTube on Thursdays, but I'll put a link to just a list of suicide crisis lines, and there's so many, and it's just regional. It's all over the world. There are lines, and there are people that are there to help. And so whether it's texting or calling, there's so many ways to reach out to someone for just to talk to. So anyway, that's
I
my
love it.
Very
I think
good.
That's it.
Very good, Steve.
Very, very good. Yeah.
Speaking of texts, it worked out really well. I just got one from somebody in the building that says, "Hey, sorry to bother you, but there's a Fiat from your suite parked for the last hour in our spot, and I have clients that are coming. Can you let them know?
What are we supposed to do when we paid for 2 extra parking
Yeah,
spots?
what do we do about that?
I don't know.
Where are we supposed to park?
Maybe it would be nice to know specifically where we can park.
Yeah, and then we could like not
Then we can
anger
do that,
every
yeah.
medical professional
Yeah,
on
in
this
the
part of
building.
Southern
We're really good at this, you
California.
guys.
Yeah, we're so good at this.
Just tell us where to park. We yeah, Steve.
we don't know where to park.
Yeah,
That's good.
the point you made about the when you're like everybody goes through hardships and stuff and like all that stuff. I think it's very easy, at least in my experience, to think that because you've been through a hardship that you see these people and your situation may be bad and legitimately bad, or you may have overcome something, and that kind of thing, that level of like depression where it's that like the entire idea of suicide for me at least is so far beyond my understanding that like I see it and I know it's there, but I can fall into the trap of like, oh, you just do this, and everybody, and I think that's a temptation, especially when you're dealing with like grief, because there's cyclical things where it's like there is a part of me when I hear about these stories that's just like, come on, and then I go, well, maybe it was this, and then you know, we kind of like go through these little stages of grief,
Justification games, yeah.
and as onlookers, and I think that it's an important thing to just be like, you don't understand, like you can't, and I have to remind myself of that, because I can fall into a trap of like, no, I like you, like it's blah, 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 and it's like I don't know y'all's full like stories and all that stuff, so you know, you amplify that times a million, and it's like it's a whole world of just like seek help, and
it is,
go
it's like
toward
it's
love.
definitely one of those things of like, you know, like the true disparity of it, like to know that I can't imagine, and I would never wish that on anyone, and I truly hope, like, if you are feeling that true and utter despair, that you know that like there are people that feel the same way, and that you're not alone in that feeling, and then you're not alone in people wanting you to feel better.
Yeah,
Like you are not alone in people wanting truly for you to get out of that
Yep.
despair.
I think it's
and feel
good to know that
happiness.
like that love, it does radiate, and I think a lot of times when you're in that position, you could even if you were the 4 people in my life and I felt like I wasn't feeling that from you and I was incapable of accepting that, you get stuck in these boxes. But there are people out there, there are professionals, there are people that aren't professionals that just are good at this. They radiate that love, they're ready to give it to you, and it may take just one step forward, but if you take that one tiny step, they'll help you take the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, it's there, and sometimes it's hard to find, but it is there.
It's like the other side of the spectrum, where it's like the depression, the anxiety, all those horrible things are very real, and then on the other side of that is an immense amount of love from perfect strangers who are just like, this life is all
you're
we got.
functioning
Yeah.
on one side of that yin. There's always something pushing back. That's the balance. That's there.
It's good that you mentioned that too, because this crisis text line that I was mentioning is you can actually volunteer also, and I believe it just kind of like you know, it puts you on a list of people who need someone to talk to, and then you could be there for them. And there are, I mean, just think about, you know, even on a business level, doctors, teachers, these are all people that want to help people, and so just know, you're not alone, and there's definitely help out there for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Wow,
what a
guys.
heavy episode,
What a
huh?
Yeah.
happy episode.
I'm really sorry I brought up the fossa.
Yeah, man,
I know,
Jesus,
dude.
Joe,
It was going really good.
insensitive.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Oh wow! Thank God that fossa was in
Well,
there.
I guess I got to move my fiat. Anyway, well, guys, thank you so very much for listening to the Valleycast today, and you know, you're loved, and we love you very much because you're listening to us and you're giving us attention, and in some way, you're definitely fueling things that we like to do, which is entertain you.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
We're gonna do more entertaining later today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're shooting a bunch of.
I feel like calling this one entertainment. This is more like a cathartic. Like I was about to break down about 5 times.
This
in
is like
part.
therapy.
I
Yeah,
didn't
this was a
cry, but
therapy
I should have
session.
at least. I have a headache from not crying.
Oh, you're holding it
Really?
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. I got it back down.
Yeah.
You stayed in.
Well, thank you so much for listening,
Thank you,
and
everybody.
you know, if you'd like to check out some of the other stuff we're doing, you can go to youtube.com/thevalleyfolk and check out some of our fun sketches and highlight versions of this podcast. And if you'd like to become a patron to help support this endeavor and launch us into the future of awesome entertainment, then you can go to patreon.com/thevalleyfolk. And as far as like information goes, we're, like Elliott said, we're shooting some more segments for your show today, and it's coming together. And before you know it, we'll have a pilot ready to go for you patrons, and it's
We
very,
just
very
launched
exciting.
some
Very, very
merch.
exciting.
We'll put a link in the description for that. We have some T-shirts and buttons and decals and stuff.
Yeah,
we're growing. And
we're
we're
growing.
growing because of you guys. So thank you for the support. And
Yeah.
if you're not supporting, please consider it. Check it out and see if you can help us grow a little bit.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love it.
So big thanks to you guys once again, and we'll catch you next time on the Valleycast.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.